Hi guys, it's Spud Rifle here at Flak Cannon Gaming, and I have a big question for you. What is the best video game of all time? Now, that is obviously a question that divides opinions, and not just between players of different platforms, but also players of entirely different generations. One game that has stood the test of time though, and remains surprisingly popular even after nearly 25 years, is the third instalment of Heroes of Might and Magic. For me, this wonderfully old school fantasy turn-based strategy game probably does take the accolade, and you may be surprised to learn that it still has fan-made mods, maps and scenarios being created in spades. It's simply so addictive. If you're not familiar with this game but have basically any Windows PC, then I have good news for you. It's incredibly affordable and very simple to set up, with mods and add-ons that give it a little extra spice. In this video, we're going to talk through how to download Heroes 3, how to install a mod, and which of the big two mods we prefer. We'll also cover off our favourite factions, heroes and scenarios, as well as giving a few pointers as to where you can get more maps yourselves. If you are familiar with this game but have doubts about playing it again, then skip to the chapter where we talk about Horn of the Abyss, as you will be amazed with just how much depth has been added into this game with mods. Trust me when I say you'll be sticking your boots of levitation back on in no time and scouring Erathia in search of that holy grail one more time. Let me begin by stepping through how you can install or reinstall this absolutely timeless classic. So you can absolutely buy the HD edition of this game and have a lot of fun with it, whether you're new to Heroes 3 or you've played it before. It's available for $12.49 currently on Steam, and following your standard setup procedure here is fairly straightforward. However, we recommend heading over to GOG.com and downloading the complete edition here, as this is not only cheaper, but it's the one compatible with practically every mod going. Once you have purchased this, you can head over to your profile and hit the Games button. That will take you to your collection, where you'll be able to download and install this game. It's a very small game, so it shouldn't take long to download at all. And once you click the download and install button, you'll get the executable file in your downloads folder. Run this and store the game wherever you please, but make note as where you are installing this game, as that will be important when it comes to applying a mod later on. Again, the installation process for this doesn't take long at all. It's a really small and compact game which executes very quickly. What we would recommend you do next, before playing the normal version of the game, is to download and install the Horn of the Abyss mod, which adds so much depth to the creatures, artifacts and amenities in the game. You can do so by heading over to this website, also linked in the description, and it's another simple installation process to follow, where all you need to do is download and run the executable file and point HOTA at the folder containing your original game copy. Now, I'm fairly old school and like to create desktop shortcuts myself, but know that when you're running this game hereafter, you'll want the H3_HOTA executable. This helpful launch wizard will allow you to choose between game versions, and you'll be pleased to know it's long since accommodated the HD upgrades too. On first launch, the game may suggest that new fixes and features are available, and I'd recommend always allowing these to auto-update. Once you're in, go to single scenario and you will be able to look at all of the new scenarios that are launched as part of this download, as well as choose a new faction completely if you want, as well as all the classic factions too. One final thing you might want to do at this point, although I'm fairly sure you'll have more than enough to get started with in HOTA, is to head over to maps4heroes.com and look at some of the most downloaded or highest rated fan-made scenarios or multiplayer maps for Heroes 3. There are really fun ones in there, and almost 2,500 pages worth of maps to sift through. As I said at the start, there is so much love for this game, even some 25 years later. Every map you download will come in a zip file with a readme, and they are pretty much the simplest readmes going. All you need to do is extract the .h3m file and copy it over to your maps folder in whichever directory you installed Heroes to begin with. then relaunch the game to yield the results. Not every map will be compatible with every mod, but HOTA is the most likely to work with customization. Now, you will have heard and seen us reference other mods, and whilst we are probably in favour of Horn of the Abyss, hence its prominence in this video so far, we do feel we ought to do a shout out to the ERA mod in the Wake of Gods, also known as WOG. What we love about Horn of the Abyss is how polished the product is, how many new items and buildings you can discover, and the fact that it feels like such an official game add-on. What we wish it could incorporate from WOG though is the ability to WOGify the game at the start of each new scenario and make a few tweaks to how the game plays out, including our all-time favourite setting that sees armies grow in size by 4% each day and which results in humongous battles in the game later on. One watch out with WOG though is that it's a little less straightforward to install, but you can read more about how to do this on that very same website we referenced earlier. So why should you play Heroes of Might and Magic 3? Well, simply put, it's an incredibly detailed game that you can really immerse yourself in and have hours upon hours of fun. If you've never played before, I am so envious of you, as the wonders of discovering a new dragon, or opening Pandora's box to find a shiny new overpowered artifact, or even solving the obelisk puzzles to reveal the location of the Holy Grail are all in front of you. The game is packed with maps and puzzles and riddles, a highly tactical combat system too, that you can even best without being the biggest army, thanks to wits, magic and good old-fashioned morale. What I like most about the game though is scenarios where you have a certain amount of time to find and slay a particular group of monsters. This helps me target my hero's development, invest in the right buildings in my town, and means I don't lose another 60 days or so clicking forward in the magical land where Monday is the best day of the week. On to our favourites within Heroes 3 then, and this might not make a lot of sense to those new to the game, but what the hey, you only live once, right Thant? In terms of factions, we love Dungeon for its mythical heritage and the beautiful magic-resistant black dragons, who combined with a hero with Armageddon in the spellbook can be superior in so many ways. In terms of heroes, we do have a soft spot for Solmia in Tower, but it's a tricky town to start with, given the dependency on resources and gold to get your town into good shape. In terms of creatures, I love archers in these games, and the elves you can hire in Rampart top the list for the original creatures, but a shout out to sharpshooters in the Horn of the Abyss expansion here too. In terms of winning tactics, well, combining Town Portal with the Shackles of War is the best way to work your way through the enemies in any defeat all enemy scenarios, but an overpowered and probably underplayed combination is that animate dead skeletons only necromancy approach, best led by your friend and mine, Thant. What we love absolutely most about this game though is its design. It's so simple, so nostalgic, and yet so captivating, especially when you're playing through mods and finding new items and imagery that excite you. But beauty is in the eye of the beholder, am I right? We will leave guides for setting up scenarios and getting started with the gameplay for this game for another Flat Cannon Gaming video in the future. After all, this game is all about discovery, and you should bravely step forward into Erathia yourselves to get the most out of its many fascinations. So go get this game if you like turn-based strategies and have somehow not got Heroes 3 in your games library already, and remember, you cannot keep a good skeleton down. Check out our channel for more should you play videos, as well as reviews, tips and tricks and stream highlights.